Let's have word by word analysis of this chapter, A Lesson My Father Taught Me by APJ Abdul Kalam. About the author, APJ Abdul Kalam, 1931 2015, the 11th President of India. Let me annotate for better comprehension. He was 11th President of India, was fondly called People's President. During his years in office as the head of the nation, before his term as president, he worked as an aeronautical engineer. This is important with the Indian Space Research Organization. Remember the full form of ISRO, that's Indian Space Research Organization. With the Ministry of Defense, he was known as Missile Man of India for his work on the development of ballistic missile and space rocket technology. Kalam played pivotal role at the organizational, technical, and political level in India's nuclear test in 1991. He was a visiting professor at many academic and research institutes across India. Kalam was decorated with Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan, and Bharat Ratna, apart from numerous other honors conferred on him by distinguished universities and institutions, both in India and abroad. Remember these three awards: Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan, and Bharat Ratna. These were three awards conferred on APJ Abdul Kalam. Let's move to the chapter. A lesson my father taught me. A lesson. Lesson means knowledge or wisdom. My father, whose father APJ Abdul Kalam, because he is writing this chapter, taught me, taught me. What did I learn from my father? Now this is the question mark here. APJ Abdul Kalam says that what has he learned from his father? It is this. What is that? Work with integrity and succeed with integrity. These two words are important here. Integrity. What is integrity? Quality of having moral principles like honesty and truthfulness. So he means that if you do something, if you work, you must work with honesty, truthfulness, and when you succeed, you must succeed with integrity. That's truthfulness, honesty. You shouldn't cheat people, but you should work with integrity and succeed with integrity. It is indeed a great experience for me to remember my parents, my father who lived 103 years and my mother 93 years. Now, Kalam remembers his father in this chapter. He says it's a really great experience for him to remember his parents. His father was 103 years old and mother was 93 years old. For both of them, I was their last child, and he was their last child. Who? APJ Abdul Kalam. He was a dear, lovable child among my four brothers and a sister. He says he had uh, more four brothers and a sister, and he was a dear, lovable child among for his brothers and a sister. Ours was a full-fledged joint family. He says there was a complete joint family. Even now continues to uphold that tradition, and even now, up till now, they maintain the same tradition of having joint family. He says when Prabhu Chawla asked him if I could write about an important event in my life which may touch some hearts because of its poignancy or happiness quotient. Now, Prabhu Chawla one day met him and asked him to say something about his life, about an important event in his life, in APJ Abdul Kalam's life. so that his experience or words may touch many hearts, some hearts, because of its poignancy. What is poignancy? It means sadness, regret, or pathos. Sadness, regret, or pathos. So here he says that Prabhu Chawla, that your life was not just full of happiness, it had poignancy too. It was evoking sense of sadness, regret, and pathos. So you talk about that so that people get emotional and they learn something, they get some wisdom from your experience of life, or about some happiness quotient. What is happiness quotient? It means the measurement of one's happiness. Now here there are two different words here: poignancy, sadness, regret, and happiness quotient, a measurement of one's happiness. So you talk either of your sad part of your life or a happy part of your life, but you say something so that people can get affected, people can get touched by the experience which you had in your life. What popped up in my mind was the present dynamics of the nation and the concert of millions of uh, concerns of millions of citizens. Now, Kalam says that what came in his mind when Prabhu Chawla asked him to say something about his life, about an important event in his life. So, what came in his mind first? The present dynamics. Dynamics means the ideas for the growth and development of a nation or a change. So what came in his mind? The ideas which will cause development or growth or change in a system. So he wanted to change the nation. He wanted to develop the nation. So development of the nation, growth of the nation. So these things came into his mind, and the concerns of millions of our citizens, and what more, the concerns, the care of millions of our citizens. This question led me to share the love I have seen from parents most of the time, and simultaneously I was compelled to learn with parental concern. And he says this question which came in my mind reminded me of the love I have seen from my parents, the love which they shared with me. So I will share that here. And most of the time and simultaneously, I was compelled to learn with parental concerns. And he says that most of the time he was forced to learn with parental concern. Mean they were too much worried about APJ Abdul Kalam, who his parents, father and mother. So let's move on to the next part. Here he says that let me share that event that happened in my life more than 7 decades ago. Now he's sharing an event which happened in his mind 7 decades ago. Remember these keywords. I'm underlining some keywords from the text. So please you take a note of these keywords, because in MCQ exams you may come across these kind of keywords and you will get marks if you tick the correct answer. So my father, APJ Abdul Kalam's father, his name was Janab Awul Fakir Jainul Badin, taught me a great lesson when I was a young boy. Young boy, remember. It's important to know when he was a young boy, his father taught him a great lesson, passed him a great wisdom. It was just after India got independence. So this is the time when India just got independence around 1947-48. At that time, Panchayat election took place at my native Rameshwaram in coastal Tamil Nadu. So he's from Ramesh. His native place is Rameshwaram. It's in coastal area in Tamil Nadu, and the Panchayat elections took place for the first time after independence at that place. So my father was elected its board member. So his father was elected Panchayat board member. The same day he was also made the president of the civic body, and the same day he was made the president of the civic body. Rameshwaram was then a beautiful place with population of around 30,000 people. Now, that time Rameshwaram was a very beautiful place. If you see now, there might be some changes, some developments, some industrialization. Because of that, the beauty has been shriveled up or withered. But earlier, that time after independence, it was a very beautiful place with just population of 30,000 people. And he says, if my father was elected president of Panchayat board, it was not because he hailed from a particular community or spoke a particular language or belonged to a particular economic strand. Now he says that his father was elected or president of Panchayat board not because he came from hail means came from a particular community or he spoke a particular language or he belonged to a particular economic strand, that he was from a well-to-do family. So these were not the reasons why he was elected the president of Panchayat board. What was the reason? Now he says that he was elected only on the basis of his nobility of mind and for being a good human being. Remember these two words, nobility of mind and for being a good human being. So when you say nobility, a kindness of mind, he was very kind. That's why people elected him as the president of Panchayat board. He was not elected because he had come from a very particular community or he spoke a particular language or he belonged to a particular strata of society, but rather because of his nobility of mind and for being a good human being. Now in this paragraph he is describing his father. So let's move on. We'll go to the next section here. Now he say, I would like to narrate one incident that took place on the day he was elected president of Panchayat board. Now he is narrating or telling us an incident that took place on the same day when his father was elected the president of Panchayat board in Rameshwaram, Tamil Nadu, remember. Now he is narrating the incident. I was at that time studying in school. Now, so he was studying in school because he was a young boy. Those days we didn't have electricity. There was no electricity that time. We used to study under lamps that were lit on rationed kerosene. He said there was no electricity that time. Still, he was fully dedicated towards his studies. But now we have light, we have electricity, we have everything, but we are not motivated to study like APJ Abdul Kalam. So he say we used to study under they were studying under lamps. We means me his friends or family members were lit on ration kerosene. So at that lamp that was lit on rationed kerosene, it was very cheap one, you can say, that lamp. I used to read the lessons loudly, and this was his habit of reading lessons loudly. So you can also do that. Once you start reading lessons loudly, you read words loudly, so your ears, they listen to the word. When you speak, your ears, they listen. So you get benefit of enhancing your pronunciation. So that's why this fellow was reading his lessons loudly. One night I heard knock at the door. So one night he was studying at home, he heard a knock at the door. Those days none in Rameshwaram used to lock the door. At that time in Rameshwaram nobody was locking the door because people were very honest, they were truthful. Suddenly somebody opened the door. Someone came, somebody knocked and opened the door. He came in, asked me where my father was. So he asked APJ Abdul, it means APJ Abdul Kalam, where his father was. So he told him, I means APJ Abdul Kalam, he told him that he had gone for evening namaz prayer. So he had gone for evening namaz or prayer. At this, he said, I have brought something for him. That is stranger who knocked at the door and opened the door. So he said that he had brought something for him, for APJ, for his father. Can I keep it here? He said, can I keep this here? I shouted for my mother to get her permission to receive the item. So what did he do? He shouted for his mother to ask her permission to receive the item. But she was also at the namaz, she was also praying. So it shows that his parents were highly religious and down to earth and gave me no response. But mother didn't give me any response as she was praying. I finally asked the person to leave the item on the cot. So I means APJ Abdul Kalam at last told that fellow person that the stranger to leave the item on the cot, to keep the item on the cot. After that, I continued with my studies. Then he continued with his studies, APJ Abdul Kalam, which meant I resumed reading loud from my study books, fully concentrating on my studies. He says, which meant that he resumed, started again reading his text aloud, loudly, fully concentrating on his studies. Now remember, you can also get this lesson from this chapter. He gives a lot of importance to reading the lessons loudly. So when you read the lessons loudly, you get confidence, you can enhance your pronunciation, and you will know how words are, how syllables are pronounced in word and sentences. So this is really a great exercise to do. So you can also do that, because that way you are fully concentrated on your studies. So next paragraph, and I think it's the last one. It says that soon my father came in. His father came now. He saw a tambulum. A tambulum, it's a Tamil Nadu word, a plate kept on the cot. Cot means bed. So the tambulum plate was kept on the cot. Then he asked me means APJ Abdul Kalam, what is this? Who has given this? I told him that somebody came and had left it for him. And now APJ Abdul Kalam told his father that someone had come and had left this for you. For you means for his father. He opened the cover of tambulin. His father opened the cover of tambulin, found there was a costly dhoti, very expensive dhoti. It's called Angvastram, besides some fruits and sweets. So what were the content in that plate? Costly dhoti and fruits and sweets. There was also a slip that the person had left behind, and there was a small piece of paper the person had left behind. The sight overall upset the father got upset. He got sad looking at that plate. For the first time in my life, I saw him very angry. Now, APJ Abdul Kalam says for the first time in his life, he saw his father very angry. It also turned out to be the first time I got thorough beating from him. Now he says it's also turned out, it's also for the first time that he got a thorough beating from him, from his father. The father punished him, started beating him. I got frightened. I got scared. Frightened means scared. And he started weeping. He started crying. He was a young boy. So when father gave him a thorough beating, he got scared, frightened, and he started crying, weeping there. So my mother, his mother, suddenly came in. As you know, mothers are very affectionate towards their children. Their love is infinite. You cannot judge mother's love. You cannot measure it. So mother came in. She embraced. Embrace means hug. Hug, hugged APJ Abdul Kalam and consoled him. Consoled means, comforted someone when someone is unhappy. So mother came, she put her arms around him and comforted him. At this, my mother came and touched my shoulder with affection, advised me not to receive any gift without his permission. Then, sorry, at this, my father, he came and touched his shoulder, APJ Abdul Kalam's shoulder, with affection, with love, and advised him not to receive any gift without his permission, not to receive any gift without his permission. So what was the problem here? Actually, this APJ Abdul Kalam, he had received a gift without the permission of his parents. Actually, he was very honest because he was shouting for his mother to get the permission, but she couldn't answer as she was praying, and father was not at home. So, but still he confirmed. He was not like other child who, without any thought, take things without any permission. So you shouldn't do that. So this is the lesson his father gave him, the knowledge or wisdom passed to him. What was that? He said never to receive any gift without his permission. And he quoted an Islamic hadith from Holy Quran. What is that? Which states that when the Almighty appoints a person to a position. Now he says this hadith says that one of the, you can say, the part in holy book, so which states that when Almighty appoints a person to a position, when Almighty gives a responsibility to a person for a certain task or job, he takes care of his provision. He means Almighty, he will take care of his provision. If a person takes anything beyond that, it's an illegal gain. So in this Islamic hadith, uh, which states that when Almighty gives you a task, gives you a responsibility, you shouldn't bother about sustaining or maintaining it, because he Almighty, he is omnipotent, he is Almighty, so he'll take care of his provision. If you're given a position or a status, so Almighty is there, he'll take care of that position, and you will not feel bad about that, no, when you, even if you lose, because if you trust God, so you shouldn't bother about anything. At last he say, if a person takes anything, and if you try to take some extra beyond your capacity, it's an illegal gain. So this is the hadith which he quoted to APJ Abdul Kalam. So this chapter is very simple. Hope you understood this one. Just remember in this chapter, what is he saying? Just let me take you to the first part. In this chapter, he is telling that in this short essay, actually it's an excerpt from an essay. Kalam talks about his childhood and how his parents, especially his father, influenced him. He narrates an incident about how someone leaves a gift for his father after he had been elected the president of Panchayat board. Kalam was then a small child and absent-mindedly accepted the gift that was meant for his father, who was away for his evening prayers. His father was very angry upon seeing the gift, slapped Kalam. Later, his father explained matter to him and told him not to accept any gift without his father's permission. So this is the summary of this chapter. So remember, which are keywords. Let me just take you let me have a recap now. So which are keywords they remember? uh, Work with integrity, succeed with integrity, age 103, his father's age, mother's age 93, and he was last child, lovable, dear child. They had full-fledged joint family, and they were maintaining that tradition for a long time. Prabhu Chawla asked him to say something about an important event from his life. It can be a poignancy, causing, about sadness or regret, if he had any regret in his life, or it can be about happiness quotient. So you can say about something which is emotional, or something which you find happy. uh, then he says, apart from these two things, what came in his mind? The present dynamics of the nation, the present situation of the nation, and the concern, care for millions of citizens. So remember, then when you move ahead, There were some more. Father was, this is his father's name, Janab Abul Pakir Jainul Badin, and it was after post independent, it was written post independence. He was from Rameshwaram, Tamil Nadu. Father was elected president of civic body, then president of Panchayat board. 30,000 people who live in Rameshwaram, and he didn't hail from a very particular community, or he didn't spoke any particular language or particular economic strength. So these are some of the reasons that he says that these were not the reason that his father was elected as the president of Panchayat board. Why was he elected? For his nobility of mind, remember this, and he was a good human being. If you move ahead, he narrates an incident, so I will not take here, I will not explain this again. Remember that just there was one fellow who had come, who knocked at the door, and he had brought a gift for his father. Father was not at home. He shouted for mother to get her permission, but she couldn't answer, as she was also praying. So then when he didn't get any response, he collected the gift, or he told that fellow to keep the gift on the cot. So the last one, when father came, was very angry. He found the tambulum, the plate, and there was there were some fruits and sweets, and there was a costly dhoti in that. So father got very upset. He said, never ever receive any gift without my permission. And see, he doesn't say my permission. It's very general idea. We should also remember that we should never ever receive gift without permission. If it belongs to someone, so you should not receive that. And even if you receive, you shouldn't open and see what's inside. So you should never do that. At last he quotes an Islamic hadith which says that when Almighty gives you a responsibility, he will take care of that. So you shouldn't worry about that. If you try to achieve something more than that by illegal means, so that will be an illegal gain. So thank you.